Welcome along to EXFL Tier 2 Season X. We are here for round 3 out of 22 at the Japanese Grand Prix. 18 minutes ahead of us to determine the grid for qualifying. And yeah, it is pouring with rain at Suzuka. 16 drivers for tonight's Grand Prix. Apparently the race is also wet. So this is going to be interesting. Looks interlevel at the moment. The race could be better or the same. Anyway, we got one car heading out onto track. It's the Haas of Marine. Heading as turn 1 enters on the American car. So, 1 week after the Chinese Grand Prix, which saw Stelios become a race winner in EXFL Tier 2. Bit of a common trend, actually. The person who's made a big mistake first in the race, so drifting went off at turn 1 on the opening lap, and Stelios got spun at turn 1 on the opening lap. Both of them have come through the field, both to win the races respectively. So we've had an Aston winner, an Alpine winner. As for qualifying, we've had a Haas on pole in Australia and a Ferrari on pole in China. But now they are both in the same team for Ferrari. I introduce now Sam L, who's been promoted from reserve, who reserved in Australia for Haas, to the Ferrari alongside Arab Chubster, the latest and newest pole sitter in EXFL Tier 2. So these two are the only two who've got poles so far this season, and now they are together at the Scuderia team. Anyway, we've got Stelios looking good at the moment, considering he's had a win, but apparently he's on wheel now today, so might not show as much pace as before. Dello, after making his debut last week, climbing up the field from starting at the back to score some points. Solid fighter when it comes wheel to wheel, so we'll see what he can do as well. Frosty Life, not the start he would have wanted last time out, but hopefully around Japan he can certainly score some more points. Warren as well in the Aston, not the start he would have wanted. First race of the season last week for him. So hopefully he can bounce back. And Sam, I'm sure, will be looking for a second pole out of 3. Didn't exactly convert it in Australia. Finished 9th in the end. Didn't race last week. He's here in Suzuka to see what he can do. Morgan, 6th at the moment. He's finished 6th in both races so far. So he's going to have to hope for a bit more into the top 5. Ridian, currently in the pit lane. Not the race he would have wanted last week after getting the podium in Australia. Thies, so far 2 races, 2 DNFs for the Red Bull, who's hoping to get his first points of the season. Josh Hewitt, disappointing start so far after looking promising to take pole last week. Got a 5-place grid penalty. Didn't even finish the race, and he finished 7th in Australia, so he'll definitely be hoping for more points on the board. He has a pole here before, 3 years ago in Tier 2 Season 4. What a dramatic title fight that was when he was with Aston Martin. Drifting, championship leader then, Aston Martin. And we're going to see how everyone does in the rain, because I believe we haven't had any so far for either of the first 2 Grand Prix. Still sporting that red and yellow helmet. Looks very nice. Lee in the Mercedes. We'll see how he goes as well. Christian, he was up there, to be fair, finishing 4th on track, but penalties did let him down. And I'll reiterate, it is going to be a wet qualifying and a wet race. So we'll see how that goes. We've got Nathan in the pit lane. Scored points in Australia. I think some glitch caused him to get a lot of drive-throughs last week, so unfortunately got disqualified. We've got Eggy, who's I'm sure looking to still get that first win, and he's definitely a contender. And we'll see if round 3 is the one where he can fully get to the top. And then, yeah, of course, Chubster inherited pole last week. He's got the McLaren in front of him as he's trying to do a lap. So at the moment, Marine, 39.0, 3/10 ahead of Sam, who is 6/10 ahead of Morgan. The only 3 times on the board at the moment until Lee crosses the line, 3 seconds down. We wait for the Aston Martin of Warren. 39.0, time to beat, comes around the final corner. It's going to be probably in the 40s, crosses the line, 40.6, 1.5 seconds down. The next car will be, I believe, Thies on his outlap. The Marine, and then the Ferrari. We've already finished their laps. Chubster. So he's gone ahead of McLaren. Round spoon curve. Losing the rear slightly. Just trying to get comfortable with the conditions. As I'm sure the times will get better and better. As he's going to zoom past the Haas. Finish the second sector split. Let's see what we have then. What we're working with. It's a 21-2. Flying through 130R. It's going to be hard to keep the foot flat there in the wet, considering it's so easily flat in the dry. Heavy braking into the famous final chicane. Get the power on. So easy to lose the car here as he goes down the hill a little bit. Not taking the line of least resistance to the right. Crosses the line. 39.8. 8/10 off at the moment. So Marine showing some good pace at the moment. After joining back at the end of last season on controller. Not exactly having the greatest race in Abu Dhabi. And then last week, just nowhere really. And then he had a glitch where he crashed into the wall, but it wasn't him. It was his AI drifting to cross the line. And it's P6 at the moment. So this is really going to test the drivers in terms of their wet weather skill. We've got 2 Ferraris in the top 3, 2 Aston Martins in the top 6, 2 Mercedes in the top 8. As Lee crosses the line to, I think, go again, but he is only half a second down. So Stelios crosses the line to begin his lap. We'll take us through a lap then with the Alpine driver. 8th gear, just about heading into turn 1. Light off the brakes, going wide. Want to hug the inside, but these curbs coming up are quite deadly, at least on this game. And in the wet, I'm sure there'll be no different. Through the S section then, one of the most famous complex of corners on the entire calendar. Rain pouring as you see the blue and pink car enter its view. Now, foot flat to the floor, round the left. And again, on the left, line of least resistance, you can pick up some thousandths. Finishing the first sector split then, 37 flat as he heads through Degner 1 and 2. Under the tunnel, the only track to, like an 8 track, go across itself. Into the hairpin then. So easy to mess up, so easy to find a lot of time. Gets on the power. And will now keep his foot in for about the next 10 seconds. Going wide, wanting to keep the foot in. But it looks like the rear did not want to help itself. And that is the lap probably gone for him. But he's still going to carry on and see what he can do. Dello close behind as well. Picking up where Stelios left off as he does let him go. So we'll continue the lap with Dello. As he's going to climb through the gears up the hill. Finishing the second sector. 1 minute 12. No, definitely not 1 minute 12. 1 minute 21.2. Through 130R. Flies the black and green machine through the chicane now. Taking it pretty nicely as Lee goes up to 3rd there. Solid lap from the Mercedes. Across the line for Dello then. It's not been a bad lap for him. He'll cross the line. It's a 1 minute 39.8 to put himself on the 2nd row at the moment. And there'll be cars behind as well. I believe that's a Williams of Ridian. About to cross the line, goes 7th. And the Alpine of Stelios will go again. As we see, I believe that's Thies, who's currently 9th. He's up a little bit in the first. He's up by nearly a full second in the middle. That's about 3/10 off what Dello was doing. So obviously Thies 2 seconds off the pace. As he dips a wheel onto the grass there. Slides through the final chicane. And I was going to say his lap probably would have put him 7th, 8th. But if he even gains a place now, it'll be pretty good. And stays where he is. Didn't even improve, unfortunately, due to that big costly mistake. But now we're seeing Chubster invalidated. The Haas in front of him is Frosty Life. 21.8, about 6/10 off what Dello was doing. So around the final corner for Frosty. Should probably be good enough for the top 10. P9 at the moment. Just under 9 minutes to go, but 1.6 seconds off his teammate Marine, who still holds provisional pole. What about the Aston Martins then? Warren currently 8th. Drifting currently 11th. Invalidated. Eggy 12th. Christian to cross the line. This will be his first proper run. 3.6 seconds down. Behind him is Josh Hewitt to make it 2 Saubers in the top 6 as Marine begins his next lap. Stelios 2/10 off in the first sector. 21.4 in the middle sector, so around 2/10 off what Dello was doing. Still, no one really challenging Marine, and he could still go quicker as he's excelling in these conditions. So around the final corner for Stelios, let's see what he can do. Will it be good enough to squeeze into maybe the top 7? Crosses the line. It's P4, so he found a lot of good time in the last sector to put himself on the 2nd row. We see Ridian behind him, beginning a lap 2. We'll see what Marine has done. He's found 6/10 in the first sector. Marine absolutely flying at the moment in these conditions. Breaking into the hairpin. As Josh half a second off his own first sector split. 35.9. Remember, Stelios did a 37, so that's a whole second in the first sector. Obviously, the gap's going to be much bigger than usual when it comes to the wet than the dry. Stelios getting clear out of the way onto the gravels. Ridian finishes his first sector. Let's see what he can do. 36.5, so it's around about half a second off. But he's invalidated, unfortunately, of what Marine is doing right now. Marine to finish the second sector split. 1.3 seconds up. The Haas, absolutely rapid. Through the final couple corners then. Let alone this could go into the 38s, probably even the 37s. As he's going to take pole by around 1.6 seconds. If he continues the momentum, crossing the line, comes the Haas. 37.2. Wow, what a lap. And that is quite the benchmark for the rest of the chase. Remember, Marine did join towards the end of season 7. And in wet conditions in Brazil, he did excel on debut. In the dry, not as much. But yeah, that is quite the gap for the rest of the chase. Yeah, I ain't reading all that. Sam now begins his lap. 2-second margin to gain at the moment. Stelios also beginning his lap. Few minutes left then. Josh found 6/10 in the first sector. Still a whole second off what Marine was doing, I believe. Or maybe a 10th. As Warren goes to P2. 9/10 off. So the track is getting a lot quicker as Thies now goes third. So that might just be Marine leading the charge of the next few laps. As Thies has gone up to third. So we'll see what Sam can do in the first sector. 35, I believe, is what Marine was doing. Yeah, look at that, 35.4, but he goes off, unfortunately. 5.5 minutes to go, and Sam pushed a bit too hard there and is invalidated. Stelios continues his lap under the bridge. Josh Hewitt, 4/10 down, unfortunately, at the moment. Chubster, last week's pole sitter, currently running in 8th. Frosty, 12th, invalidated, drifting down in 13th, the championship leader. Same with Eggy. He's got to get a move on too, just in front of the Aston Martin. Still waiting for Nathan to set a time. Christian in the pit lane. Stelios through Spoon Curve. Lee also through the first sector. Marine begins another lap. Remember, these guys could have been fueled for a lot of runs as well. That's probably going to be what determines a lot of the time. 35.7 for the first sector for Lee. Look how much time he's found. It's clearly getting better on track. But that is invalidated for Lee. He unfortunately messed up. Degner 1 and 2 catching another driver. And Stelios crosses the line to go P3. Still 1.3 seconds down. No one getting within 9/10 of Marine at the moment. But Warren is on the front row at the moment. Sam in the pits for another set of inters. Chubster around the final couple corners. He's found a lot of time. At the moment, it can get himself up to third. Maybe even the front row. We'll see what the Ferrari can do. Round the final corner across the line. It is P2. 8/10 off, though, on Marine. Who's up by another 7/10. This is ridiculous from him. Finding more and more times. These is off into the gravel there, trying to get out of the way of some cars. Dello also invalidated. Everyone in the pits for their final run. Drifting to cross the line. Let's see what he can do. Up to P2. 7/10 off still. But he's on the front row. Aston right up there now. But no one can stop Marine at the moment, who's going even quicker. Marine is now left, unfortunately. He was about to extend his margin. And unfortunately, he's disconnected. And there's not many minutes left in the session either. As soon as the yellow's clear, we can have a go. But I think someone may be out of fuel towards Spoon Curve. And that looks like it's Stelios with the Sauber. So as soon as his yellow's clear, we'll see what can happen. But, Marine was about to go even quicker there. Could have been another 2-second advantage like last time. But that opens the door, the opportunity for anyone to see if they can get close. That time may still be good enough for pole. And it's going to be definitely different to last season. Last season, of course, Ben94 joined back. Won the race because there was a safety car on lap 5. He took the hards all the way to the end. Won by over, 10 seconds because of it. These yellows need to clear. 2.5 minutes then. Marine needs to get back in the session as soon as possible. So Chubster around the final corner to begin another lap. Everyone on their out lap or in the pit still. Dello also beginning his lap, drifting, doing the same. And they're gearing up with battery to go again. Nathan on his out lap, still yet to set a lap time. Christian the slowest lap time yet of the lot at the moment, 5.4 off the pace, but he's coming around the final corner to start his final run. Let's see, Dello finishes the first sector. 6/10 up on his time, 36.2. Well, Sam heading into turn 1. Chubster, 35.7, 2/10 up. Drifting, about to finish his first sector 2. Half a tenth down at the moment, sliding through Degner 1 and 2. Twisting and turning round the S section for Sam. Dello into Spoon. Sam finishing the first sector 2. How much time has he found? He's 2.1 off pole at the moment. Found 1.1 seconds. This is this is the part of the track where most people have invalidated, but he's kept it valid this time round. Up ahead is Christian, just into the hairpin, invalidated. So he's got maybe enough time to go again, but it's going to be close. Nathan has kept it valid as well through Degner 1 and 2. Marine still not back in the session. So who can challenge then? Drifting. There we go. There's Marine. Across the line for Dello to be P3. They're all crossing the line. Chubster P2. It's getting close now. Can Drifting, the championship leader, take his first pole of the season at the Japanese Grand Prix? Across the line for Drifting. He stays third. Chubster out qualifies him. Are there any other surprises? Warren is finding a heap of time and he's only less than a second off pole. But he's up by nearly a second. Thies crosses the line. 7th at the moment. Sam round the final couple corners. Can he make it? 2 poles out of 3. He's just got to find a few more tenths to put himself ahead of the Haas. Across the line for Sam. And it is provisional pole into the 36ers. Sam, he took pole by 3 tenths in Australia. And at the moment, he's taking pole by 3 tenths as Ridian goes P4. And Chubster will stay 4th at the moment. What about Warren then? Round the final couple corners for Warren. Never been on pole in EXFL Tier 2 before. Is loving these conditions at the moment. Across the line for the Aston Martin. It's the front row for Warren. But at the moment, it's still Sam on pole position. We still got drivers completing their laps who are in the middle of the lap. Morgan down in 12th. Josh Hewitt will start 11th at best. We've got Eggy as well, currently in the middle of his lap. So still a lot of drivers yet to finish their lap. But at the moment, Warren, second Marine. It could have been such an easy pole for him, but he'll be 3rd at best at the moment. So who's next across the line? We've got a Haas and Alpine heading through 130R. I believe that's Frosty and Morgan finishing their laps right next to one another. If anything, it's going to hold Morgan up a little bit. So we'll see what these two can do then. Round the final corner for Marine's teammate, Frosty Life, to cross the line. P7, and Morgan just goes in front of him for 7th. What about Chubster? He's down, so it just looks like it's Thies, Lee, and Eggy who goes P10. Thies up by over a second. What can Lee do? Across the line, Lee P7. And Thies across the line, P6. So it looks like that is 3 out of 3 for the Ferrari manufacturer. Sam L for the second time this season on pole position. Promoted to the Ferrari. Weaving because he's happy he's got pole position. And this time round, he is a full-time driver to celebrate. Warren, a career best. Front row start for the Aston Martin. Marine will start 3rd. Ridian up to 4th at the end. Chubster will make it a Ferrari 1 and 5. Just waiting for the Ferraris, actually, to finish the session. These, top 6. Drifting, the championship leader, will start 7th. Morgan directly behind him. Lee in the middle. Frosty gets into the top 10. Knocks Dello. Disappointing for Sauber, 11th and 14th. As Nathan didn't really get the lap he wanted in at the bottom of the table. Just waiting for Chubster. Alright, that is qualifying. Done. It's a lot closer in the end. And, well, I think first signs is that rain is a lot worse than qualifying. That surely has to be full wet conditions for the start. After being inters for qualifying. Marine joins back. Really unfortunate, his connection issues have let him down. Some even saying it's a monsoon. And it looks like it's going to be a one-stop. Wets to the end. Is anyone going to try the whole race on one set? We'll find out. But first off, we've got the formation lap. Let's hope all of them can make it round without disqualifying themselves. Can barely see the cars. The track is flooded. But we're going to get the formation lap underway then. I don't even think there's any need to set to tyres because we know what everyone's on. And Sam will lead them away on the formation lap. So, Warren, career best front row start for the Aston Martin driver. And Sam, well, he's been in 2 EXFL Tier 2 races, and so far he's 2 for 2 for poles. This time round, can he convert it into the win? We've got Marine, who's going to have to take control of his car soon and make his way back through the field. I'm sure his pace will help with that. Iridian, don't actually know what he said. He may be an AI at the start or something. Oh my god. Out of the 7 icons, it's full wet for most of them, but one of them is actually lightning, like thunder and stuff. So this is going to get really treacherous, and the conditions and skill these guys are going to have to show, as that might have been a bit of contact. We'll find out in a few seconds. Yep, Thies and Drifting already on the grid. Yeah, and Josh and Christian. The skill these guys are going to have to show to keep it on the road. We may have a safety car or two. Look at that, you can barely see the cars and all the spray. Yeah, I have a bit of a prediction that these two are going to probably run away a little bit. As Marine is going to create a bit of a gap with his car, but he's going to try and get back in as soon as possible. Apparently Christian may have hit Josh there, so cold tyres, Nathan right at the back, all going to be waiting on him when he crosses, when he positions his car onto his slot. Sam into the final chicane then to begin his crawl to the line. What number is that? Oh, 15. Okay. Warren number 12. Marine 65. 26. Iridian. And here we go then. Round 3 of 22. The first wet race of the season. We didn't get much last season, but both in Tier 1 and Tier 2 looks like this season the rain is making up for it. They'll slot onto their grid slot. Sam and Warren facing forward. Neither one want to face left or right. And we have all 16 drivers on the grid as we await the lights. It's the Japanese Grand Prix in Tier 2, Season X. It's lights out, and away we go in Suzuka. Sam gets a good start ahead of Warren, And Marine already dropping down the order. Ridian up to third as the spray kicks up and into turn one. Round the outside goes Thieves for P3. The Red Bulls made a brilliant start. Ridian, then Lee also fighting away with Chubster for 5th. Drifting holds his line in 7th. Marine's left again. Dello up to 8th. And Josh Hewitt up to 10th. What a start for both Saubers as Josh is going round the outside of Eggy for 9th. Daring move, but Josh gets it done. Great stuff from the two Saubers. Lee has also made up a couple places. Chubbs stays where he is. And Fees, what a start from him as well as dropping down the order a bit, is Morgan. And on the grass there is Eggy dropping even further down as Christian gets ahead of Marine. Still trying to get back in. Nathan holds his ground as Sam leads from Warren, from Fees. And Ridian, don't know if he's in AI or not. Anyway, we'll turn on all the graphics and stuff. Biggest gainer at the moment, Josh Hewitt, from 14th all the way up to 9th. And he's on the back of his teammate. As we look further forward, still battles between Lee and Chubster. And Lee looks like he's got the place up to 5th. So 3 positions gained for Lee. May even be 4 soon on Ridian. Interval, there we go. Lee all over the back of Ridian to the inside. Is he going to get him? Yes, probably Ridian's in AI then. So going wide there is Thieves struggling a bit. And the prediction's right. The top 2 are getting a bit away now. But Lee up to 4th as well. Keep on that. Actually, no. Keep on that. Right then, through 130 yards. Just under a second ahead of Warren. Then Fees. Then Lee. Already trying to make up a 5th position. He's flying in these wet weather conditions. Down the inside, Lee tries a move. Dello and Josh. And then Morgan to round out the top 10. He's got his teammate Stelios behind him. Teammates near one another. We finished the first lap. And it looks like Drifting's got some good momentum here. Crosses the line wheel to wheel with Chubster. Blasting what's left of his battery. But Chubster has more. Into turn 1. Single file at the moment. And no sorts of action in terms of wheel-to-wheel stuff. Yeah, Eggy's got a lot of work to do as Nathan is sliding into turn 1. People at the back really struggling. So, yeah, Sam, 1.4 seconds ahead of Warren. Thieves, 2.3 behind. Really struggling. Look, he's on the grass as Lee is trying everything he can to get onto the podium at the moment. Brilliant stuff so far from the Mercedes. Sliding through Degnal 1. And Ridian looks like he's going to start holding people up now. I do not know if he's in AI or not still. But Chubster and Drifting are set to try and overtake him soon. Just Drifting try and move on the inside of Chubster, who goes defensive. And they're all nose to tail here. And look at that, 100% for the two Saubers. As I think that's Marine back in his car, but unfortunately down in 14th. He's got a lot of work to do. As Lee is taking P3 away from Thieves to the inside. Slight contact. Shuffles them a bit. As Drifting falls behind Dello and Josh Hewitt. So the championship leader in his green car is falling victim to the other green team. As through 130R, Lee is trying to have another go at Thieves. Not close enough. 4.7 seconds. The top 2 flying. Warren trying to stick with the leader here. And to the inside, Chubster trying to get Ridian. As Dello's all over the back. Dello, slight contact with Ridian. That allows Josh Hewitt to maybe sneak an eye on one of them. But he sits behind for now. Drifting, just not finding the right grip. And left and right, we have a yellow at the back. And it's Christian spinning around at the chicane. Into turn 1. Dello trying to have a move on Ridian. Sits behind, but down the inside. Josh Hewitt on his teammate. Dello gives him a ton of space, knowing it's his own teammate. But Josh doesn't return the favour. And Dello goes off wide and drops down 2 or 3 positions due to it. So Josh Hewitt now up to 7th. Halved the positions at the moment. Lee all over the back of Thieves. 4.5 seconds. Warren trying his best. But he's falling away from Sam. Lap 3 of 27. You can barely see off board. That's why I've been on board quite a few times now. Morgan's trying to make his way up. He's at the moment he stayed where he was. Does Josh try a send on Ridian into the hairpin? He's going to go for it down the inside. There's yellows. I think that's Nathan, but Josh has got the position. What a send. As unfortunately Nathan and Christian going off there, causing yellows at the back. Really not liking these conditions. We look forward to the front. So Josh up to 6th now, but 2.2 seconds off the next car. And that's to the inside. Drifting getting ahead of Ridian. They connect wheels. As Drifting annoyed, I think, by there. As Morgan goes through past the pair of them. Drifting falls down to 9th now. Dello putting him under pressure as well. And they're all blasting their battery, trying to get ahead of one another. Thies versus Lee through 130R. They connect. They both go off the track. Thies really trying to defend his position as Chubster's joined the act as well. And Thies stays in front for now. These two getting their elbows out as Dello and Ridian fight as well. And Stelios also trying to get in on the act. As they remain single file. Lee, no battery to use. Christian causing more yellows. 3 seconds now, the gap at the front. 6 seconds between Warren to Thies. Still in front of Lee, who's going for the inside but can't quite get it done. But Chubster hits the back of Lee slightly and gets them all out of shape. And he's going to take the advantage of going round the outside there on Lee and gets up to 4th. That allows Josh Hewitt to gain a ton of time on these two. Morgan also following him through. Drifting, Dello, Stelios, Ridian, and Frosty, and Eggy, and Marine has caught up to this massive train that goes all the way up to 3rd. Yeah, a bit iffy from there with Chubster. Hit the back of Lee, made him go all out of shape, gained the place due to it. And now Lee's under big pressure. He goes wide, and that is going to open the door for Josh Hewitt as Lee gets tagged a little bit. Josh left him, I think, enough room, but not much. And that drops Lee even further down to 8th now, undoing all his good work at the start. Josh Hewitt is now up to 5th. As Frosty and Eggy are fighting. Both wheel to wheel. As Eggy close to the grass there. Trying to get ahead. Marine watching this unfold. His teammate and Eggy fighting into Spoon Curve. Eggy to the inside. Looks like he's going to have the place. Gives the space though to Frosty, who's still going to hang it around the outside. Marine watching this unfold. And we see Chubster and Thies really close. For no sorts of moves at the moment. Eggy blasting his battery once again. Frosty also deploying his. But it looks like Eggy's going to get ahead. And Do has to do team orders. Not at the moment. And they're going to keep single file. So Thies once again holding on to 3rd. Defending like crazy. The visibility very low. Yeah, Marine just told me about his Wi-Fi berth. He's in now, so hopefully he can try and make up some ground. Chubster all over the back of Thies, who's in none through the middle, through the first sector, just trying to regain his battery. Checking the chat real quick. Sliding through the end of the first sector, but Josh Hewitt is a man on a mission, and he's put Chubster under pressure, and he's up 10 places now. 14th up to 4th, and he's really close to Thies now. This is going to get really interesting, but what a drive it's been so far from Josh. Making his way bit by bit, 10 places, 5 laps. And where's the best chance to get Thies? A full battery to use. Thies, 75%. They're both blasting. But yeah, Chubster was put under pressure there, but he's struggling on his own. Look at him, he's not even full throttle going round the straight. Morgan also trying to gain some places, drifting, and Lee staying where they are. And where can Josh try a strike? He's got to be patient with it. And he unfortunately is a bit too impatient because the tag has cost him places. And that's going to drop him all the way down to 7th. Getting a bit too eager, as that's allowed Morgan to get into 4th now ahead of Chubster. Thies defending for his life for P3. So Morgan up to 4th then. Chubster stayed where he started. Christian 3 second. That's going to be a warning for Josh. Cutting over the corners. As still a massive train down to 10th. But Eggy, Frosty, Ridian and Marine are a bit more spaced out. Heading into turn 1. No sorts of moves. Thies has done that time and time again now. Saves all his battery. Blasts it all on the straight. Stays in 3rd. Puts it in none now. And no one can get past. Well, Warren 80%. Sam 100%. He's loving it at the moment. But with a little drift there. And we're going to see that 4.8 second gap go down a bit now because of that mistake. Yeah, look at that. It's lost him a whole second and a bit due to that slide. But Warren keeping it consistent in 2nd, looking for a great podium at the moment. But it's still early days in the race. Look at that. Thies was 10% heading into turn 1 and now he's on 80. But he goes wide there, leading a train of cars behind him. Any of them going to go for any sort of move to the inside. Not at the moment, but running into the back or drifting a little bit there is Josh Hewitt, who I'm sure will be trying to get back on the move. Going wide. Warren, Josh Hewitt, 3 second. Drifting up to 6th and the championship leader. Still trying to stay consistent. But now it's Morgan's turn. Finished 6th in the first 2 races of the season. Now has a chance to get back up into the podium. He's not blasting his battery like Thies is. Now he's got less than Morgan. They've all got around the same, actually. So Morgan just in the slipstream of the Red Bull. And he has got more than Thies heading into the final chicane. And will Morgan have a run into turn 1? He's sizing up his exit. As already in an eggy fight. As I think going over the chicane there was Lee. As he got a 3 second time penalty. Morgan doesn't seem close enough to Thies, who still tries to break the slipstream. Ridian, fastest lap of the race. Actually, speaking of which. Yeah, 44, 45s, stuff like that. And it's just about staying consistent here, keeping the momentum going, staying in the flow state, literally with the rain pouring down. Just any sorts of mistake are going to lose you a lot of time. And until the safety car happens, overtaking Thies might not be the most drastic of needs at the moment because there's 9 seconds to the next car. As Josh Hewitt versus drifting into Degner 1, drifting to the inside, stays in front of the Sauber. That was committed from the Aston, who stays in front. And a good fair play from Josh, knowing when to back out. And no one tries any sorts of sends into the hairpin. Single file. So we got the race winner of round 1 in 6th, the race winner of round 2 in 10th. And at the moment, Sam L, 2 points to his name, comfortably leading still. This is going to be really interesting to see who hangs on to the podium. We know how Thies can get his elbows out. He is a champion in Tier 2 after all. Let's see how he races like one. After 2 DNFs in the first 2 races, he's currently running on the podium. But he has got more than half the field right behind him trying to take it away. Stelios all over the back of Dello, who's nearly outside of a second, but it doesn't really matter in these conditions. No DRS. As down the inside, contact between Lee and Josh Hewitt. 2 drivers who have certainly made their way through the field, but have had a bit of their work undone. Are getting a bit desperate now. These, once again, just has the gap to Morgan, nearly a second. Can barely see him in the spray into turn 1. Wheel-to-wheel stuff. Josh Hewitt versus Lee. Lee to the inside. Slight contact as that allows Josh to go wide. And Lee will have the momentum to the inside. Lee slides. Josh still going to keep his nose in there. And there's contact between the Sauber and the Mercedes. They rejoin the track safely enough that there's no incidents. And it looks like Josh may have an illegal overtake, trying to get Lee to go back ahead. And now there's contact between him and Marine. And it's all kicking off once again. Josh Hewitt's driving has let him down. The same with Lee, to be fair. They both just got a little too over the limit there. So that has allowed Marine up into the top 10, actually. Just created a bit of a gap from Dello to drifting, who's running in the points once again. Morgan once again catching up to Thies because he's in none. Chubster to the inside of Morgan, making sure there's no contact, drifting after the move to make sure he doesn't hit Chubster either. Onto the grass there. As both of them, inside and outside, they're just trying to keep it on the road, which has allowed Dello to catch them back up. And yeah, surprisingly, no safety car. We got a yellow, and it's a VSC as soon as I say that, because there's been an incident. Lee's gone off there. What about the bottom, guys? Is there any damage? No. But there is stuff between the Mercedes, the Haas, and Josh Hewitt. So we have a virtual safety car, for some reason. As soon as I say that we haven't had one yet. We still have everyone running. So what do the leaders do? Sam has passed the pit lane. What does Warren do? He stays out as well, trying to keep to his delta, which is a very vital thing to do in these conditions. So no drive-throughs happen. So what do these guys do as it ends? So there's not even any time to go in the pit lane for these guys. But it's allowed them to save some battery if they were running low. Lee getting past Frosty as Marine's into the pits. Lee and Frosty getting past Marine. So after 9 laps, he's already into the pits. Stelios, I think, was the reason for the VSC. Look how much time he's lost out. Don't know if he has any wing damage. His wing looks fine. But he has certainly dropped down the order. Sam now an 8-second lead to Warren, who's 8 seconds ahead of Thies. He's still got cars all the way down to 8th. And Eggy makes his way up into the top 10 as Lee falls even further down the order. Josh Hewitt and Lee, who gained places at the start, both have 3-second time penalties. Same with Christian. Nathan's still hanging about on his own a bit now. Marine on new wets. He's going to be one quick car. And Frosty trying to move on Lee. Tags him a little bit. Forward to the front. Thies is doing a really good job here. Defensive work, but once again, he can't really get Spoon right. Goes a bit wide. And one of these laps, that's going to end him with a 3-second time penalty. Morgan's close with the same battery as Thies, but he's just blasting it to stay in front. And like I said at the start, the question is, who's going to want to stop? Who's going to try and take their wets all the way to the end? Because it's not mandatory that you need to stop. But in terms of braking, these drivers are all doing pretty well not to run into the back of the guy in front. 10 laps in then. And that's close for drifting on Chubster, but can't find a way past at the moment. Not got enough battery. Dello's close to drifting, but he goes defensive anyway. Frosty gets ahead of Lee, who's into the pit lane. We got a yellow, and it's Christian, who's facing backwards. And he's reversing for some reason. Come on, Christian. Get back on track. Turn around, lad. Thank you. Not enjoying himself. Going to be lapped soon as well. Doesn't help when you're going backwards for about 10 seconds. Alright, the gap increases the same from first to second to third. Wait, Marine's into the pit lane again. Did he try inters? No? He's just pitted for the second time in 3 laps for some reason. So a train from third all the way down to 8th. Not shifting at the moment. Josh Hewitt trying to get back within a second of these guys. After it all kicked off on lap 7-ish. I think Sam's going to keep going until he has a big enough gap that he can come out in front of third. And if he needs to, if Warren doesn't pit, chase down the Aston Martin. He has the pace for it. Into 130 are Thies, Morgan, Chubster, Drifting, Dello, and Ridian. Pretty low battery for them all. The highest being Morgan, who is a bit closer to Thies this time round. But it's just not blasting his battery yet, unlike Thies. Drifting just hasn't saved any from the last time round at the moment. As we approach the halfway stage, looks like Josh Hewitt's now into the pit lane. So he's going to try and go for the undercut, which isn't actually a bad idea. Considering he was only a couple seconds off the train, and if he can push a bit more, he could be in front of all of these guys. That might be the next idea for Morgan, Chubster, Drifting, Dello, undercut. And speaking of which, Drifting is getting past Chubster, who's sliding, and that's Drifting up a place into P5. Chubster struggling in these conditions. At the same place where he lost out to Josh a few laps ago. That's down the inside. That's Ridian barging his way through on Dello. We saw the hand go up. So yeah, that's Dello down. So Ridian getting up into 7th. May have been a bit of contact because of that. So let's look at stops. So Josh Hewitt, 3 seconds in front of Lee. Marine, for some reason, pitted twice. Once again, Morgan finds himself really close to Thies, and Drifting goes wide a bit there as well. That's going to allow Chubster to gain a lot on Drifting, who barely doesn't have battery, and that's going to allow Chubster to go to the inside at 130 art. And it looks like he's going to get the place done, and Drifting will still go round the outside and will still stay in front. Commitment and bravery from the Aston Martin. Great car placement to stay P5 for the Aston Martin. And now Ridian finds himself on the back of the Ferrari, has the slipstream, has the momentum, and they're going to go wheel to wheel, but he doesn't really have the battery. But neither does Chubster, to be fair. And Ridian still has a tyre to the inside as Dello's into the pit lane, and Ridian stays behind for now. Oh, but it's close, and he's tagged Chubster around because of it. Ridian involved in another collision this season, and that's cost them a lot of time. sticking his nose in there and connecting with Chubster to drop them down the order. Lee, fastest lap of the Grand Prix, as Dello emerges right behind his teammate. Frosty sliding through the S section, 1.2 behind Eggy. Look at that, they've lost 5 seconds because of that. So Drifting doesn't really have a target on his back now. He can save some battery, which he has clearly done. And Morgan just sticking with Thieves at the moment. Marine fastest lap. We're into the 42s now. Oh my god, he's still messaging me. As Christian gets lapped by Sam. Warren keeping the gap a bit constant now. Same with Thieves. Their pace seems to be leveling out a bit. Morgan, his first attempt at Thieves ends in a spin. And Morgan gets spun around. Let's put it in reverse. That allows Chubster and Ridian to get back in front. And Morgan, unfortunately, has tumbled down the order due to an incident. That allows Drifting up to 4th now. So what do the leaders do? They stay out. There's no need to pit because there's no threat. And that sudden 4, 5, 6 car train has now kind of separated itself into 3 2-car battles. And one of them becoming a 3-car battle. None of them pitting. Besides Eggy. So there's a bit of a train forming between the guys who have pitted. Josh Hewitt getting a bit of distance between Stelios, who has split the 2 Saubers. Lee closing in on these guys. So where will Eggy emerge in relation to these? Surely behind them all. You can see Josh Hewitt already crossing the line. Stelios in the pit lane again. So Josh Hewitt goes past Eggy as Stelios retires in the pit lane, unfortunately. So yeah, Eggy quite a while behind. So last week's race winner out of the race becomes the first retirement at the halfway mark. 10 seconds now between the top 2 and the top 3. Chubster closing that gap between him and Drifting. Was 4.8, now it's 3.4. Frosty on the back of Morgan. Losing the rear there slightly. Gets on the grass. Fully drifts the car through the hairpin. And Josh Hewitt now gets a 2nd time penalty. One of his biggest weaknesses at the moment. Still letting him down. As we have a yellow. And I think it's just Christian getting out of the way. Well, Warren decides to pit now. We are over the halfway mark. He's staying out. Drifting, closing up to the back of Thieves. Does he go for the inside? Thieves breaks quite early. And Drifting did well there not to, I don't think, get any damage. And he'll have to go again. As Ridian now decides to pit. Morgan will also follow him in. Frosty will stay out. So it looks like it's just a simple case of wet tyres to wet tyres. Josh Hewitt should get in front of these guys. But his tyres are also going to be wearing away, as he did pit quite early. That is the price you pay for the undercut. Ridian exits the pit lane. Eggy coming down the straight as well. Ridian's in front. It'll be close between Eggy and Morgan, but Eggy will get in front. As we have a yellow of... Oh, it's Drifting! The championship leader. Losing out there. He may have been involved in an incident with Thieves, or he just lost it on his own. That corner has provided quite a few snaps. But look, Drifting's got wing damage on his left. That's allowed Chubster to get in front of him. So the championship leader finds himself in trouble and may need to find himself with a new wing when it comes to his pit stop. Don't know what happened. May have been his own fault, own error, but he was close to Thieves. Sam stays out once again. There is just no need for him to pit unless there's a safety car maybe. What about Warren? Yep, hanging him out to dry at the moment. Thieves a bit on his own now. Bit of breathing room for the first time this race. After making a great start to 3rd, he has kept it the whole time. But he's had to get his elbows out a bit. Drifting, closing in on Chubster. But will he pit? Yes, he will. Hopefully he's made sure to set wing damage to yes, not auto. But it should still fix it. So drifting into the pit lane. They are going to change his front wing. And he is going to drop quite a bit further down the order than he would have wanted. Josh Hewitt already goes past him. Then Dello, who's already looking in a pretty strong position here. Ridian close to Lee. No, sorry. Lee close to Dello. Then Ridian. Then Eggy. Drifting's going to fall even further behind. And there's Morgan as well. So Drifting falls all the way behind all these guys. And going wide there, I believe, is the Alpine. .5 seconds. Chubster chasing down Thieves now. Fastest lap of the race is Marine 41. So the track is getting quicker and quicker. Obviously, these guys are getting less... burning more fuel means less weight for the car going off there as Christian into the grass. We have another yellow. I think it's just Christian. As Lee gets past Dello, they're fighting in the hairpin. Wheel-to-wheel stuff. Bit of sparks flying between the two as they're going to go wheel-to-wheel. Looks like Dello's going to stay ahead for now. And Lee just has to be careful where he places his car if he wants to go for a move. In these daring conditions. I suppose we haven't had a safety car yet. One VSC, which I think was caused by Stelios dropping down the order. And now Lee's in the slipstream of Dello. He's blasting his battery. Which way does he go? Inside at 130R. Barely any space to leave, but Dello does leave him enough. But Lee can't really find the gap he wants. And we'll stay behind for now. As into the pit lane. Chubster and Frosty Life. They're trying to undercut Thieves. But if Thieves tries to go to the end, then it is not an undercut. As Christian has retired in the pit lane. Really unfortunate race for him. He'll go again next time, hopefully. All kicking off in the pit lane. That's Inters for Frosty Life. That's surely not the way to go. Considering the rain said it would be like this the whole race. Nathan, 3-second time penalty. Frosty's come out in a bit of no man's land, so it's not like he's going to really meet anyone. But then again, if the Inters work, like they did last week, you never know. So Josh Hewitt is currently 4th. Right, with 6 seconds of pens, but as a Lee and Dello fight into Degnum on, I was never going to end well if they went wheel to wheel, but Lee has got the place. But Josh Hewitt has nearly 6 seconds gap ahead of the next car, which is exactly what his penalties is. So not too bad from Josh, to be fair, considering, yeah, he started 14th, he made his way up to 4th, got involved in a collision at Spoon, which dropped him down to 8th. But on his own, as Nathan's, I think that's just a glitch if he's left and then retired. So that becomes 3. No actual crash. So then there were 13. Marine, who could have been winning this race, or at least fighting Sam for it, as he's finally into the pits, followed by Warren. What will Thieves do? Will he also pit, or will he carry on? He's going to carry on. Frosty, 3 seconds. So Sam will still stay in the lead, but Warren will drop behind Thieves. Thieves, who hasn't scored a point yet. Yellow. Lee! Lee is off at 130R, and I believe he's beached his car. Reset to track, mate. We have a virtual safety car. As, yeah, Lee is off at 130R. Dello, 10 seconds for speeding in the pit lane, as both Salbers decided to pit under it. And that has completely changed the pace of this race. And looks like Dello hasn't really been held up too much. But yeah, big drama for Lee. He was fighting Dello, so there could have been an incident. Both Mercedes having to stack. Lee does have damage. And this VSC, if it stays out long enough, could really help Thieves. Warren's on Inters as well. What's going on? Look at that. They're all going on to Inters. Is the rain good enough for this? Let's get Thieves' reaction. He's asking, like, guys, do I go Inters? Well, at the moment, the two around you have gone Inters. So that seems like that's the best choice. The rain doesn't really look any different from the start. But if the Inters work better, then I guess so. Oh, that's so unfortunate for Dello to speed. But it is what it is. But at the moment, he's still got the gap to Eggy. So Sam's still leading this race very comfortably. Thieves is going to have to pit eventually. As we see Lee drop to 13th. Marine gets ahead. So there are only 3 cars on wets, right? Morgan, Chubster, and Ridian. Well, and Thies, but I'm sure he'll pit soon. No, he stays out. I will admit the rain does look a little lighter. But if he's going to dare to get to the end, he may do it because there is quite a big gap behind. So out of that all, everyone stopped once apart from Thies. So Ridian's up to 4th, fighting over Chubster. So Ridian's gone a bit under the radar after pitting a bit early. Morgan's a bit on his own, but he's going to come under pressure from Josh. Frosty's close to him as well. So this has really worked out for Frosty. Pitting onto Inters first, he's found himself up in 8th. As everyone else decided to pit again, drifting, trying to fight Eggy for the last points paying position. These guys were fighting for the win in Australia. As Marines left again, unfortunately. Yep, Thies losing loads of time. Warren's going to close up on him. Warren, who took his first podium. Marines left and still set the fastest lap. Warren, who took his first podium in his 50th race last season at the end in Vegas. And about 5 races later now, in the new season, he's currently still sitting pretty for a net second, which would be a great result for Aston Martin. But his teammate, the championship leader drifting, still falling under pressure. Carbro was second in the championship, but unfortunately he's not racing today. So that would mean whoever's third, which I'll quickly just double check, is Chubster, who's currently running 5th. At the moment would be level on points with drifting. Unless drifting gets a point. Then we got Stelios, who's out of the race. Then we got Eggy, who's 10th. So at the moment, the next one to gain a lot of points would be Ridian, as well as Sam. And there's wheel-to-wheel stuff between Chubster and Ridian. They know these are crucial points they're fighting for to get themselves higher up in the championship, as Thies finally pits after 19 laps for intermediate tyres. So that's going to promote Ridian and Chubster to fight for the podium, as I'm pretty sure they'll undercut him. Josh finds himself on the back of Morgan as well. No battery though. Thies exits the pit lane. There goes Ridian and Chubster. Morgan on the wets. Still comes out behind Thies, and it's going to be another train. Morgan, who got spun by Thies, or at least spun because of Thies, to the inside. Josh is trying to get the move. What a move from Josh Hewitt. Down the inside, and now Frosty's trying to have a look, but backs out. So Josh now finds himself on the back of Thies, on much fresher tyres at the moment. In the groove, anyway. But yeah, Thies now going to try and apply pressures. We have a yellow, and it's because of Chubster. Chubster has lost it at a corner he has been struggling at all race. And now Chubster, it could have looked so good for him at the moment. And Josh Hewitt also dropping down the order, all kicking off on lap 19. Chubster has wing damage, and that has just let Ridian go for 3rd at the moment. But he's on the wets. And suddenly Thies' chances of a podium look better and better. So unfortunate for Chubster. His teammate winning the race. Get me out my pie. And Sam out. No one is coming anywhere near him at the moment, unless there's an end of race safety car. It was the same with drifting last week, to be fair. Let's see. Ridian, 18 points. Currently going to be on 33. Morgan has been 6th and 6th, and now he's 5th, and he's got 2 cars right behind him on the Inters. Frosty Life, after a pretty poor race so far, finds himself fighting for 5th. Josh Hewitt lost these 2 positions earlier in the lap. No battery to use. Dello a bit on his own at the moment. And now Frosty to the inside. Blasts his battery. Morgan also doing the same to stay in front. So Frosty will have to try again. Morgan knows he doesn't really have to put up too much of a fight, because these guys have penalties. And that's Frosty ghosting. As we have a yellow. And it's Chubster. Wait, what's the yellow? Is that Warren? That's Warren! That's Warren who's gone off, causing a yellow. He has his wing intact, so big mistake from Warren. But luckily, because there's a massive gap between him to Sam and him to Ridian, it doesn't really affect too many things. And oh my god, 3 wide nearly, but into Degner 1. And going off there is Frosty, trying to go to the inside. Messed it up. We'll rejoin behind, not losing too much in terms of time. but that places him down to 7th. Will Josh Hewitt now try and move on Morgan to the inside for P5. Down the inside, Josh Hewitt gets it stopped. Morgan's going to try switch back, but Josh Hewitt has the same battery as Morgan and better tyres and will now get up into P5. Fees has now found himself on the back of Ridian. Big worry there for... Oh, we have a yellow... is that Lee? Into the wall there. Carries on. And we look to see Thies using all his battery to try and blast past Ridian. Frosty's left the session. Thies is going to have to dare around the outside of Ridian. And he's got the place before we even get to 130R. Thies back up onto the podium. Who left the session? Oh, Frosty. As we look at that, Delo's already caught us into the pit lane. Morgan knows these wets are not working, so the Inters was the play. But unfortunately, Frosty has disconnected from the race. And looks like Eggy and Drifting, who are already in the points, are going to gain a few more. Marine not too far away either from getting some points. Josh Hewitt now on the back of Ridian. He's caught him a pretty bad part of the track, though. And that's off into the grass a little bit there for Josh. Remember, he did a brilliant overtake here 3 years ago on his teammate when they were fighting for the championship in a green car. Well, a slightly lighter green car. He's trying to get past Ridian. Delo, really unfortunately, has that 10 sec. Might even allow Eggy and Drifting to get even higher because of that. They're still on for maybe a top 5 finish, one of them. I mean, it's a big gap, but you never know. But let the battles commence. Sam could pit again if he wants, I think. It's going to be close. And Thies, he's going to be under investigation for 1 or 2 things, so he might not keep the podium. But at the moment, he's keeping it fine, as Lee has unfortunately retired in the pit lane. Another what-if race ends with a DNF or a poor result. It'll go again next time. Chubster as well, P12 at the moment, after showing strong signs at the start. Morgan as well, drifting down in 9th, but could still salvage. Josh on the back of Ridian. How much is Ridian going to defend with barely any battery? Josh decides to go around the outside as Ridian is on the curb. Ridian breaks a lot later and gives Josh the space to go to the inside still. Delo watching this unfold and Josh gets the place. Fair move from the Sauber. And now the other one's going to try and get ahead with plenty more battery. Delo to the inside will fly past Ridian, who can't do anything to defend. And Delo will get ahead, but Ridian decides to back off. The Saubers charging their way through the field, unfortunately with penalties, is what's going to let them down. After starting, 11th and 14th? They're 4th and 5th. Really strong. But their penalties are going to set them back a bit, so Ridian just has to stick with. But with 5 laps, the gap could go beyond 10 seconds. And I'm sure Frosty, Eggy and Drifting and Marine, if they don't battle too much, can catch him. But yeah, these are big points these lot are fighting for, even if right now their positions don't show it. Whoa, Drifting! The championship leader slides and loses it again. Really not enjoying these conditions. And the first time round, we don't really know what happened, but this time round, don't do that, Drifting. The second time round, we fully saw he lost on his own, unfortunately. And that is going to drop him out of the points. And that'll drop him to last soon because of Chubster getting ahead. Actually, he's blocked him a little there. And yeah, Drifting, unfortunately, with wing damage. So after winning the opening race, looking set to win the second race before safety cars, third time round it has not gone his way. Maybe round 4 it will. Chubster is trying to get ahead of Drifting, who's leaving the door open, and he does eventually get ahead. Drifting's going to blast his battery in a bit to try and get back ahead, but at the moment it's just not working. His teammate, however, Warren, besides one big mistake, it seems like this corner's just catching them all out. 3.5 seconds now. The 2 Saubers ahead of Ridian. Yellow for Drifting going off there at 130R. And whoa, that was close. So Drifting comes into the pits. Don't know if he's going to retire from the race or fix his wing. but he's going to be close to getting lapped. Thies is going to have quite the gap to whoever finishes 4th. So even if Thies gets a penalty or 2, he might just be good enough to still get 3rd. Ridian is just trying his best to stick with, but I said it was 3.5 seconds. It's now 5.5 seconds a lap ago. So if Dello can somehow get a 10-second gap to the next car, because look, if you add this, it's about 9-ish seconds. So if that 10-second in the end doesn't even mean anything, fair play. I mean, it's still going to allow Josh to get 4th, because Dello would get 4th because of Josh's pens. So let's have a quick look to lead at 51. Yeah, it's going to be close. It drops Dello right into this fight. So it really depends on pace now. And they're easily going to catch Ridian. So it depends how quickly they clear him. Eggy in a Haas sandwich. Frosty and Marine, who have had a lot of work to do at the start, getting their act together to get some points. And now, as Dello gets a 3 seconds, so that's going to really be a difficult job now. Frosty backing Eggy up a little bit into Marine, but Marine can't really find a gap at the moment to get him. Ridian 6 seconds now behind these guys, so Josh Hewitt looks safe for P4 at the moment. As for Dello, it's going to be close. I'll tell you what though, Josh Hewitt is gaining on Thies. Even if Thies is on much fresher tyres, he's still showing some good pace. Is the Sauber. Going wide there, Dello struggling, maybe pushed his tyres a bit too much. Oh, it's only a couple laps actually. Marine all over the back of Eggy. Eggy was a little defensive to hold on. Frosty loses the rear bit, and that allows his teammate in the team plate to get a run on Eggy. So Frosty losing the rear, held Eggy up, and Marine is through. And how much of defence will Frosty put on his teammate? If he knows he's quicker, he might just let him go. And he is to the inside. Frosty not really putting the defence up. Marine is up to 7th. Frosty not using his battery. Stays behind. Allows Marine to get in front. And they're going to chase after Ridian. The Haas duo working well together. And that gap closes down under 2 seconds. The gap is nearly over 10 seconds between Dello to Ridian. Needs to be 13 in 3 laps. How old are those wets? 11 laps. Yeah, Ridian's really not going to enjoy that soon. Eggy's trying to get past Frosty. Nearly shoves him onto the grass a little bit there. A little bit of lag for ghosting wise, but now they're solid. Frosty back round the outside in front of Eggy. Wheel to wheel stuff. And Frosty gets back in front of the Mercedes. And Marine has caught to Ridian, so after all the despair of disconnects and whatever, Marine has fought his way up, and it could still be a top 5 finish for the Haas car. And does he try it into the hairpin? He's been sensible with where he can go. Will now get the power on. He's close enough to the Williams. Actually closes up a bit too quickly here, and backs off. Might have better momentum here on the exit of the hairpin to get ahead. Eggy fighting his way with Frosty to get back up into 8th. As Josh Hewitt has caught the back of Thies as well. Thies knows he doesn't really have to fight too hard because of those penalties. And Marine's still stuck behind Ridian. It's holding him up. And that's allowing Dello to create the gap. He needs another 3 seconds. But now Marine spots his opportunity as Ridian loses the car slightly. Oh, and there's contact between the two as they connect a little bit. Both doing well to keep out of the wall, which is going to lose them even more time. Marine does get ahead of Ridian, who goes over 130 on, nearly goes right into the back of the Haas and has to settle for P7. That allows Marine to get the go on P6 and stick within enough seconds to get P5 of Dello. But Ridian is going to fall even further behind soon. Eggy's also trying to stick with these guys. Sam L is halfway through lap 26. Still a lap and a half to go until he can claim a great first win in EXFL 2 and Tier 2 and make it 3 out of 3 winners. He's about to lap the championship leader, while his teammate is currently running in a brilliant second. Half a minute. Sam's pace has been amazing. But if you look at it, to be fair, the top 3 have all had similar. If anything, look at the top 6; they're all quite similar. But Sam has been so consistent in the wet, and he's just had that edge over the rest. It's going to be close with Dello to Eggy and Ridian. Depends again how much they fight, but Eggy's got to run here, and he could try to the inside of the hairpin. Is Eggy going to go for it to the inside? Ridian slides, and he's going to decide to cut to the inside, get the momentum. Ridian goes onto the grass anyway. Didn't even matter. Ridian off there in P9. Morgan could salvage another point if he pushes hard enough, and Ridian, unfortunately, looks like his race is over. Don't know why he's giving up so early, but anyway, he still could have got some points. He's a weird man. Final lap then for Sam L in the Ferrari. Final lap for Warren in the Aston Martin. And final lap for Thies in the Red Bull. The two Saubers closing right up to the back, as Dello is really getting it in gear, trying to create the gap he needs. But there's a slide for Josh Hewitt. And he better hurry up, otherwise Marine could see himself 4th here. The gap's still got to be over 6 seconds, which I think he'll just get away with. But a last lap mistake from Josh Hewitt. Sam L going through Spoon Curve at the moment. A few corners to go. 6.9. So as long as Josh doesn't lose a second this lap, he should be fine. But the gap is going down. Look at it, 6.1. 6 seconds exactly. Marine, out of it all, could still finish 4th by the end. Look at it, he's drifting through the corners. Speaking of his drifting, unfortunate race today. There won't be any points. But as for Sam L, round the final couple corners, took pole in the opening race as a reserve, has been promoted to the Ferrari. And that Ferrari is going to be on the top step of the podium. 3 out of 3 in Tier 2 Season X. And it's Sam L, the victor, for the first time in EXFL Tier 2. Sam wins the Japanese Grand Prix. And it's going to be a long way back. Warren to follow him on the podium. A brilliant P2 finish for the Aston Martin. And that's going to definitely get him very high up in the standings after a disappointing race last week. But yeah, Warren, round the final corner. It's P2. A bit of a lonely race for him. One big moment as he slides over the line. But it is P2 for Warren, who should be very happy with that. Thies just hanging on to Dello. Marine is going to get within 6 seconds of Josh. So a big mistake on the last lap is going to cost him. It's the podium. The return season for Thies. P3 for the Red Bull, 13 seconds ahead. So even if penalties applied, Thies should get the podium. Josh Hewitt 4th, but it's not going to be 4th. It's going to be Marine, after all that, to find himself back up to 4th. And now we see what the order's like. Eggy crosses the line, just misses out on 6th by 1.1 seconds. Morgan 8th. Frosty will finish 9th. And Chubster, out of it all, will still get a point. I think he's out of fuel. Yeah, that's why he's ghosted. Ridian will be 11th. Look like he's going for the fastest lap, but I don't fully know. He's on inters after all. But yep, Sam L wins. What a race for Marine as well after being... Oh, okay. After being last, disconnected, ages behind, no safety cars, to still finish 4th. Great result from him. Oh, apparently Ridian got a puncture. That's why he went off in the grass. My bad. Unlucky to the Williams, but wow, 12, 13 laps on wets and he got a puncture. Meanwhile, you have Thies going 19 laps on wets and still having alright pace. So call what you want about his defence. Thies is back on the podium. Great to see. And it's an Irish one too. Fastest lap for Marine. Definitely would have been in there. But look at that. What a race from Sam to win over by nearly half a minute. No safety cars, which is quite surprising. Sauber 5th and 6th. Josh Hewitt gets a top 5 finish then. Eggy salvages 6th. No points for the championship leader of drifting. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this. Ooh, just about. Well then, Sam, Warren, And these, we can interview all of them. I haven't actually spoke to Sam yet. Alright, it's the top 3 join the party for interviews.
Jesus.
And I'm sure they are very exhausted from a very high effort race.
Oh, cheers, lad. Cheers, lad.
Right, let's go to the showroom. F124 cars. The Ferrari. We will start off with our glorious race winner. Sam, are you there, mate?
Yes, I am.
Have you included your audio?
Yes, I have.
This is the first time I'm ever speaking to you, and what a pleasure it is to now speak to the newest EXFL Tier 2 race winner. You were reserve in round 1, you still took pole. It was an unfortunate race to finish 9th. You didn't race last week. You got promoted to Ferrari yesterday to take over from Callum, and you got pole again, and you never looked back after turn 1. What a race from you. Maybe a bit boring, but I'm sure in those conditions you still had to keep a stern focus. You have won the Japanese Grand Prix. How are you feeling?
I'm made up to get my first win, but yeah, it was obviously a bit boring. First few laps were a bit tense. I didn't know how my pace was in the wet because I'm not usually good at the wets. But then once I started to get the hang of things, I just didn't really care about the gap behind and just raced how I wanted to.
Yep, we saw, I think, at least one mistake from every single driver today, apart from you. I don't think you made any mistakes, did you?
Um, I had a little bit of a drift out of the S section, but it didn't lose me that much time. So that's the only slight mistake I made.
Doesn't matter then. Yeah, but to win by over half a minute, a brilliant drive. 3 different winners in the first 3 races now. And yeah, that one was certainly the most impressive. Considering the first 2 have been comeback drives, in you just led from start to finish. So a brilliant race. Very well
Thank
done.
you.
Very happy to see you now in a full-time seat. And yeah, that's definitely going to climb you up the order very quickly indeed.
Thank you.
There's going to be like, I don't know, 8, 10 people within like 20 points for first, but it's going to be all really close to calculate and figure out. But anyway, well done, mate. Tonight is your night, and you should be very happy with what you've done. Moving
Thank
on
you.
to P2, Warren!
Hello.
Back so soon on the podium. Have you included your audio, mate? Hello? Hello? Oh, party may have bugged. Can anyone still hear me on the stream or? Well, apparently the stream's still working. You can hear. Apparently my Xbox Pi's just crashed or something because it's ghosted and I can't access it. I'm trying to join others, but it's not working. I think the only option left is to restart my Xbox, but obviously that's going to end the stream. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to interview Warren and Thieves, but I'll try and talk to them, but it might not be streamed. But yeah, if the stream is going to end, that has been the Tier 2 Season X Japanese Grand Prix. Well done to Sam on winning, Warren on the second place, and Thieves on return this season to get back on the podium in only his third race. Really strong stuff on three of them. We will see you next time out for the Bahrain Grand Prix, the track that we usually start the season at. So we're returning to something familiar. But yeah, we will see you then.